Meeting is called to order at 3:08. This is a special meeting of the Education Outreach and Training Committee, the Sunshine Ordinance Task Force, City and County of San Francisco. I'm David Pilpel, Chair. Call to order, Mr. Clerk.
On the call of the roll, Member David.
Present.
David present. Member Oka.
Present.
Oka present. Member Highland.
Present.
Highland present. Chair Pilpel.
Present.
Pilpel present. Mr. Chairman, we have a quorum.
Thank you. I'm aware of no agenda changes. Anyone else? Okay. We already checked. We have all parties present, so I think we will just hear the matters in the order listed, and we'll take items 3 and 4 together without objection. Great. So let's call item 2.
Item number 2. File number 12013, hearing on the termination violation of complaint filed by William Clark against Howard Lazar Arts Commission for allegedly not providing documents of expenses charged to the Street Artists Program for fiscal year 2010-2011.
Okay, so let's update where we are on this. We've had a couple of hearings on this matter. We've asked the parties to work with each other, either directly or through email, to narrow their concerns and develop a list of protocols or items that the staff will keep track of to respond to future requests, that sort of thing. So why don't we get an update from both parties as to where we are? I'm sure I've screwed that up somehow, but let's hear from both sides.
No, you did pretty good.
Okay.
Hello, members.
Why don't we give you 5 minutes not to exceed, and we'll probably have questions, and then we'll ask Howard to come up.
Well, we don't have much to discuss today, but basically, like you said, I had asked for there to be a little bit more clarification specifically on issues relating to sunshine requests, some more information kept in on the records as to what was discussed between the city attorney and the Arts Commission. And as the final request, you were asked me to send some suggestions over to the Arts Commission, and I did write out a list of 8 suggestions, and basically the response was pretty good on all of them except for one, which was number 6, which I was asking for the final outcome of each request for city attorney, including any advice received from the city attorney, shall be recorded. So I wanted there to be not only a brief description of what the Arts Commission was requesting the city attorney to decide or determine regarding sunshine requests in general, but also if there was any advice given to the Arts Commission, that advice be recorded so that the members of the public could have access to that information and know what the outcome and advice from the city attorney was. And this is all based on the fact that the Sunshine Ordinance contains language that states that any communications and records or advice or opinions from the city attorney in a department regarding the Brown Act, the Public Records Act, the Sunshine Ordinance, and any of that information is public records. And we have had no accounting of what these discussions involved. The only thing we received was a brief handwritten document from Mr. Lazar at one point in time, and it was very hard and the time between that document and the time billing sheet that we got from the city attorney, it was very hard to point out which things related to which things. So basically all I'm asking is pretty simple stuff, but I would like to have, specifically in regards to sunshine, every time there's a need for the city attorney to talk to the Arts Commission, because I believe that the Arts Commission is spending too much time with the city attorney. There's not a need for them to contact the city attorney every time there's a sunshine request. However, that seems to be the process that's being used, and as a result, it's costing the Street Arts program money, which I believe might be better used. And so at this point in time, I'm asking for their log to include the records of exactly what, if there was a sunshine complaint, that it was in regards to have the number of the sunshine complaint listed in their log so that it can be cross-referenced with the city attorney's billing. And I'm asking that a brief description of what they're requesting be contained in that, and simply a brief outline of what the determination was. And that's in regards to the sunshine portion of the time billing thing. As you've discussed, there are some other things on that billing that are very vague, like phone call or other, that may not be sunshine related. What I'm requesting here is more in terms of dealing with the issues relating to sunshine. I still think that the Arts Commission could have instead of just listing the word other, they could have a brief description of what other means and what it's in regards to, so that we're able to keep track on what at least within the attorney-client privilege in regards to those issues, that there's some sort of listing of what's being discussed, why this city attorney is being discussed with, and why so much time is being used by the city attorney. So I'm all ready to solve this by just having item number 6 and 5, 3, 4, 5, and 6 answered to done by the Arts Commission, and I think we could proceed from that point next year and see how it works out at this time. Thank you.
Great, thank you. Anyone else to present information in support of the complainant? Not at this time. Arts Commission, Mr. Lazar.
Hi, members. Howard Lazar, Street Arts Program Director. I wanted to hand these copies out to you of this is our log, our updated log, based on what you had asked and what Mr. Clark had asked. And if you can note that it's quite detailed, I would refer you to the second page, actually, because we inserted a column that says time spent with city attorney. And you can read across each of these, and you'll see that we are complying with a description of the
Time out.
Hold on a second. Bruce?
It's impossible for me to read
Okay.
this.
Can you email a copy of this to Victor for the file, and can you put it on the overhead?
Sure.
This is,
And I'm getting to that. I'm sorry. And do we have a copy for the clerks?
I made extras, so you might
Yeah,
have an extra there.
sorry.
So
Yeah. Let's see.
I don't know if you can see that.
Let me.
It's an Excel spreadsheet.
Give us 1 second, please.
Give us a second. Don't worry about your time. We'll take care of that.
That's
Bruce,
a
are you-
little better.
Just straighten it out for us on the overhead.
Okay.
And you can zoom in if you want to focus on that.
There
Okay.
are the headings.
And this is page 2, just to be specific. You're showing us right now page, You're showing us right now page 2, is that correct? I just want to say, that. Okay, very good,
Okay.
thank you.
So hold on a second. Bruce, better? Good?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
Everybody else?
But it's not showing the whole length.
Clark
of
Brothers?
it, you know.
Okay, 1 second. Clark Brothers, you got a copy? You're looking at it?
Oh, thanks.
Okay.
Thanks.
All right. Cool.
Okay. So how we log it in, and if you'll give me some time here, is
Yeah,
that we get a request, we list the date, we get the date of the request itself, actually, who it's received by or who it was sent to, the program of the Art Commission that it refers to, and then a description, immediate disclosure request, whatever the request is, we try to encapsulate it there as to what the request is about, who the person is who sent it, and their email number, and then the date that the Art Commission completes it, estimated staff time, and then here's where we list a Sunshine Task Force case number, if it's gone to you, and then time spent with the city attorney, and then where the records are kept, in whose office and what file it is. As to Mr. Clark's point number 6, I see that Kate Patterson had responded about this, and I'm sorry, that Kate Patterson, whom you know, responded to this, and even responded to Andrea, saying that, for the record, we're not refusing to give him information. Here's our response. We said we'd consider it on a case-by-case basis. And then she basically is stating that the Public Records Act allows an agency to decline to disclose records, the disclosure of which is exempted or prohibited pursuant to federal or state law, including but limited to provisions of the Evidence Code relating to privilege. And she goes on and on, including the work product. Prior to this, she had told you that she had asked the city attorney for timesheets that would express what matters were Sunshine Matters, and they did not. She did not get. Well, she got a response, but the response was that they do not include a breakdown like that. So we have no power over the city attorney on how they do their timesheets. But getting back to this number 6. She wound up by saying that we, the Art Commission, consult with the city attorney on a case-by-case basis to determine whether or not his or her advice should be disclosed as part of our log. This is our log here. So that really is how it stands, and that's been the advice on this matter given to us by the city attorney. So my department is not willing to put an outcome or advice in a special column on this log.
Okay. That's your presentation. I'll have some questions. And
Certainly.
We'll have some discussion in a second. Bruce, do you need that to stay up?
I'd like to see, Mr. Lazar, I'd like to see the citation that you're reading from that allows you to not provide what part of the state regulation are you reading from?
It was a quote from Government Code Section 6254K.
Okay.
And then she goes on to say California Evidence Code Section 954 protects from disclosure communications between attorneys and their clients. And then finally, it says, similarly, the California Code of Civil Procedure, Section 2018.030, protects from disclosure the work product of an attorney, and the work product privilege protects any writing that reflects an attorney's impressions, conclusions, opinion, or legal research or theories. And then they put in, parentheses, California Civil Process Code Section 2018.030, semicolon. See also California Government Code Section 6276.04.
Thank you.
Great.
I'll leave this here.
That's cool.
Thank you.
Don't go too far.
No.
Anyone else with testimony in support of the Arts Commission? Seeing none, we'll have some questions and discussion. I certainly have some questions. Let me start with others. Member Highland? Not right a second. Member Oka?
Actually, I've gone through the Sunshine Ordinance, and frankly, if the Sunshine Ordinance, if local ordinances are stronger and stricter in terms of the law and what's required, I believe this stricter interpretation supersedes the state or government code. I believe that's my take on this based on my training at the federal level. So I think I've gone through, like I said, every section of the Sunshine Ordinance, and I can find nowhere in the Sunshine Ordinance where information can be withheld. So, there we are. There seems to be a clash of state law versus our Sunshine Ordinance. And unless I'm interpreting wrongly, I think the Sunshine Ordinance supersedes that.
Well, I would just comment that the Sunshine Ordinance does provide for greater and faster disclosure of information where that's possible. I don't think that there's disagreement that the general advice from an attorney on a specific matter is generally not disclosed, but advice relative to the Brown Act, the Sunshine Ordinance, and public records ethics laws is subject to disclosure under the express provisions of the ordinance. And I think that's what is being discussed.
I'm understanding the testimony here. All the advice that the Commission is asking for is about the Sunshine Ordinance and the Brown Act.
That's what's at issue here, yes. And so we're talking about how much of that information is subject to disclosure on a regular basis. So yes, that's very much part of the discussion. Let me ask a couple of clarifying questions to follow up on that, and then we'll come back if we need to.
All right.
Member David, anything right now?
Right now, I'm good.
Okay, so I have three areas of discussion here. First, with regard to the log, this is the first time I've seen it. This is the first time I think anyone has seen this. Yep. So let's talk about that for a moment. Mr. Lazar, if you could come back up. I think this is good, helpful that the department is going to start doing this. I understand that from the program heading that this is not just with regard to the Street Artist Program, but it's throughout the Commission, so it'll be kept in a centralized place for all Sunshine requests.
That's correct.
Okay, so a couple of things. You may want to standardize the date columns because they're in different formats in a couple of different places. Line 34, due date, whatever. There's just a way in Excel to standardize that. Date received by program description, I think that's helpful. You may want to just abbreviate IDR for immediate disclosure requests. That's up to you. For the next two columns, I just had a concern referring to these as complainants with their by name and contact information. In general, I would say that these are requesters. It doesn't necessarily result in a complaint, and our goal is for it not to become a complaint. It's just for it to be a public records request, essentially. So you may want to call them requesters. Due date, date completed, estimated staff time, task force case number if applicable. I think that was one of the specific requests from the clerks, so that's cool. And time spent with city attorney. That, too, is helpful because that then creates the connection that I think they were looking for. And I assume that HL in the far right refers to the famous Howard Lazar.
Also, but I do see an error that,
Yeah.
or in not including, the clerks had requested the date of when we contact the city attorney, and that's not in there.
Okay.
So
Or you may want to just include that just on, for example, on page 2 where you've got 15 minutes with City Attorney Vera, to just put the date of that contact at that time.
Okay.
Just something like that, if that makes sense.
yeah.
Those are my comments on the log. We'll certainly hear from the clerks as well on that. The second item for me is this list of the 8 matters that the clerks had submitted back in May. There was a response from I've got a version of the email chain in the packet that has comments from the clerks, but I'm not sure that I have the original response from the commission. I think what I was looking for ultimately was a recapped version of not just the log, but something about procedures. Here's how we do this, not just that we've agreed on these points, but when we get a request, we will log it on the log. When we request advice from the city attorney, we will track it in this way. We intend to do something that sort of spells out for the staff, for complainants, requesters, members of the public, for the task force, just sort of how the system is supposed to work.
Well, excuse me, I do see that she did respond.
She responded point by point, but it's not clear that then constitutes department procedures. And I'm not sure that we do it in that way, just sort of responding to the public, and suddenly that's the new department procedure.
It's just that most of the responses says that we're already doing this, and it's just that she's converted it to an Excel.
Right.
And we already include the name of the person requesting information. We currently do this as part of Mr. Lazar's handwritten log.
Understood. I guess, again, what I'm just commenting back is it would be nice if we had this in the form of here are our departmental procedures, even if it's, a page or two, here's how we do it. And there probably are models out there elsewhere in the city that we could point you to.
Should she send the letter to you or to the clerks?
To the task force with a copy to the clerks? To the task force, to SOTF, with a copy to the Clark brothers? With a copy to the clerks.
Yeah.
That would be helpful. So that was my comment on the 8 points. And then the third thing, and I'm not sure because I didn't have a numbered packet, there was an email from Kate in the packet dated May 14th at 3:48, following up on my request from an earlier hearing about the city attorney billing records, and asking for another version of this with the description section. And I don't recall seeing a response to that. And that was one of the issues at an earlier hearing, is whether the city attorney time record had an additional field for description, and if we could get a report run with that field, that might have more information that would aid in the matter.
Okay, so I can understand this. 'Cause
Sure.
She's out of town right now, and I have to transmit this to her.
That's fine. But she will be back, we hope.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
And so basically you would want a letter from her to you showing a sample city attorney, I'm sorry, thank you, a sample city attorney timesheet?
It's not actually a sample. What we were looking for, if you have seen in the packet, I'm sure you're familiar with this, the time record report.
Okay.
You've seen this?
No, I haven't. Sorry.
Pat, can you share that with Mr. Lazar?
Yes, I have, yeah.
Okay, you're familiar with that.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
the version that we were provided by, either by the commission or by the clerks, I'm not sure who provided it, this version did not have the description field. So there's a May 14th email at 3:48 that's in our packet from Kate to the task force, to Ms. Vera, asking for another version of that report with the description field, and we did not get a response to this. So that's what I was looking for, is a response to that email.
Okay.
That's it, yeah. Okay, so that's the log. So that was the third item, was the city attorney log. The second item was a procedures document of some sort, and the first item was my comments on your sunshine log. So those were my three issues.
Got it. Okay. Okay.
You'll work on those.
Yes.
Okay. Let me do another round here, and then let's go back to the clerk. Anybody? Bruce? Does that?
Nope.
We're getting better. Okay. Clark Brothers? Okay. Bill Clark. All right. One at a time.
Yeah.
Did you have any follow-up comments?
Well, does he go first on rebuttal, or are you just asking?
I'm just asking for your thoughts.
Okay, no, I'm almost satisfied with the way things are going. Like you said, I hadn't noticed. One thing you pointed out is in this column where it says time spent with city attorney, I would like there to be a date there so that it would be easy to cross-reference when the city when they actually meet with the city attorney.
We asked for that, and I think they'll include
with
that.
the time billing, so we can verify what goes with what. So, and the other thing is in regards to this controversy. I mean, there is no question that the Sunshine Ordinance supersedes the statutes that the Arts Commission is claiming it gives them the power to refuse to provide us with a description of the advice, or even provide us with any records that may have been sent to the Arts Commission from the city attorney in regards to these Sunshine requests, and that the Sunshine Ordinance clearly says in regards to all communications, advice, that's all public record. So I'm disappointed that they're still arguing that they have an attorney-client privilege regarding some of this information advice that the city attorney is given, and therefore they're claiming we'll do this on a case-by-case basis. Well, I don't want it on a case-by-case basis. I just want there to be some brief acknowledgement of what the subject matter was every time the city attorney does give advice to the Arts Commission. And I don't see any reason why that couldn't be done very quickly and provided in this, because I don't know, there may be an email back and forth, there may be some sort of a record, and at least you could go to this log and it would say, oh, there was an email between us stating that he said that this, and this. So I'm just disappointed that the Arts Commission is still attempting to claim that they have a valid reason for refusing to provide the information and advice that the city attorney is giving the Arts Commission in regards to these Sunshine requests. And until, I do get a column here that says, okay, we discussed this specific thing about this specific issue that was brought up in this complaint, and because you had problems, this legal problem, I think that the Arts Commission is basically not cooperating, because I deliberately, in those 8 things that I wrote, I knew I was writing in there some things that the Arts Commission was already keeping records of. I wasn't reiterating it like they weren't doing some things, but I wanted to include all that information in there. So basically, I think if we could get that description, and I think you should hold them to it. I think we're entitled to it.
Okay, so let me follow up for a second with Mr. Lazar. So on that particular point, for those items where there is, let's say, time spent with the city attorney, right? So in the case of the log that we're looking at now, there are 3 items that you've highlighted there that are during this new fiscal year. Where there are those discussions, if there are records that are produced from those discussions going either direction, however that happens, presumably if it's related to Sunshine and would be subject to disclosure, if you can either indicate on the log or at a minimum include wherever your archive file location is, copies of those records, I think that would, if not do the trick, certainly get us a considerable distance. So if there's, I don't know, whatever.
What if the advice is given over the phone?
Then there's no record.
Right.
And then you may want to just indicate here oral advice only or oral discussion only.
All right.
So that if there's a question later, where are the records? You talk 3 hours, Krell, Vera, they must have come up with something in 3 hours. Well, maybe they talked for 3 hours to go through step by step. Who knows? I don't know. Are there records? I don't know. Maybe if you can so indicate that there either are records, in which case they're kept in the archive file location, or there aren't records. Because obviously this is, not going away.
Okay.
So that's a thought. And do you want to come back up?
I would just like to respond that even if the advice is
Hit the
given...
microphone,
Use the mic.
I would just like to say, even if the advice is given over the phone, that there should be some record somewhere, or since this does involve sunshine and advice given back and forth between the city attorney and a department, that if they're going to keep logs of all this, that the public is still entitled to know what that advice was, even if it was in the form of oral information. I'm entitled to know if it's oral information, what the substance of that information was.
I'm not sure if that's true, actually.
Well, it says all communications between the city attorney and the department are public records. Now, communication by phone and any advice given by the city attorney is a public record and public information. So otherwise, the city attorney they could just say, "Well, we did it all by phone, so we don't have to provide you with any of this information." We need to know it. Like you said, if they're sitting there talking for 3 hours and they say, "Well, we talked over the phone, so too bad, we don't have to tell you anything," we're still entitled to public information. And if that isn't in the form of a record, there has to be some way of the Arts Commission saying, "Okay, we got this advice, so we want to do this. We want to follow the city attorney's advice, so we have to have it somewhere recorded for future reference, and that the public is entitled to know what this advice is." So I'm just saying that I see a little bit of a game being played, that everything's going to be done over the phone.
Member David.
I think Mr. Clark raises a valid question, because I know that in other instances, if no record exists, it does not need to be created. However, we also know that communication between city attorney and the department around sunshine matters are disclosable. I think the question then becomes is that if there's no document of that communicate, like I don't know the answer to this, right? We know that you don't have to create documents, but we also know that so I think that as a task force, this is a very specific question that we could use some clarification on as to whether I honestly don't know. I think it's a very valid concern that Mr. Clark is raising.
Member Oka?
Yes. It's clear that the commission nor the city attorney's office needs to create a document that they didn't have previously, but somebody must have somehow recorded what was said during those phone conversations, but it's going to be hard for me to decide that the city attorney or the Arts Commission must create a document that obviously, in my mind, doesn't exist. Okay, so it's there's where it is. I don't think a document exists, and I can't tell the city attorney or the Arts Commission that they must provide a document that they claim doesn't exist, and if
Particularly if it actually doesn't exist.
Yeah.
So my comment on this, and also to Mr. Lazar, we're not requiring you to create a document. We can't, we aren't, that's not happening. I would say, though, if you do create a document, if you or your assistant or if someone on your side is making some notes during the conversation, it would be good to make a copy of those into the correspondence file. So, you had some, there is sort of a common sense analysis here that if you're spending 3 hours on talking about something, even if even if there's some agreement, well, we're going to rewrite the contract to do this, we're going to send that, we're going to do something, and then there'll be, whatever, that somebody made a note somewhere of what to do. And even if that's coded and hard to figure out and whatever, that there should be some result of that discussion. If it's a 2-minute conversation, hey, do you prefer, Bill or William? Oh, I prefer Bill. Okay, fine. Maybe there's no note of that. If you're chatting for 3 hours, there's probably something. So it makes some sense that you might create a record, and if you do, that you would reference that here somewhere and make a copy. So that's... At this point, I think that's the best we can do on that. We certainly can't compel you to write more things, and it's kind of like the more time we spend on this, the more it costs to spend time doing so I think we all need to be kind of reasonable about it. That's why I was looking for some procedures that say, here's how we go about things, so that there's some clarity in the system. So I guess where I'm headed with this, and we'll open it up to public comment, is to see about continuing this again and asking you to follow up on those 3 topic areas. And hopefully we're getting towards closure on this and getting to a better place for everyone with respect to the Arts Commission. Is there any further questions from the task force?
Mr. Chairman, is it necessary to continue this?
Well, I think we should get...
I frankly don't think that it's necessary.
Well, I would like to get to the end of this where we've got some kind of procedure and some agreement, hopefully. And I don't know that we're 100% there. I think we're getting there. That's my sense. But we'll hear from Bill Clark again.
Yeah.
So, yeah, why don't you give us a clarification and wrap up?
Public comment first. I don't know where you're fitting that in.
I'll do public comment.
Okay, basically, I see us going a long way down the line, and I just at this point in time, like I said, at least if we have those just a little bit of a description like that's in here, but if the city attorney, because I know that not all of this was done over the telephone. I know there's been conferences and there's been time spent between Adine and other city attorneys speaking directly, and I just feel that I get the sense of that if the Art Commission goes on further and says they want to do it on a case-by-case basis, and we have this privilege here, and rather than just cooperating at this point and saying, well, look, when we have a meeting with the city attorney, here's a brief explanation of what we did. They're not creating a new document in the sense that they have a log. I mean, if he has a phone log then of who he talks to each day, then he can put in that phone log that he talked to the city attorney and it was about this subject matter regarding the Sunshine Task Force. Or this new log that he's created is the document. And if the information that's created, put in this document, should include a little bit of a statement about the substance of the reason for the discussion and the resolution of the discussion. And if we can get the Art Commission to agree to doing that, I'm satisfied with going forward and seeing what can happen, because then we can cross at the the end of the year, when we get these billing things from the city attorney where they refuse to give us any information other than what they have, we can cross-reference the Arts Commission's log with the city attorney's billing log and then verify that these things are together, and we can get an idea of what is being discussed and what this advice is, because I don't see the need for all this city attorney advice. I don't see the reason why the city attorney has to talk for 3 hours about to be honest with you, about any sunshine issue. And so I feel like that there's a reason why they're not willing to include. It should be, we will do this on every case. There should be, if advice is given to us, that's information that we're entitled to. And in my case, I'm paying for it because I'm paying for the time of the Art Commission and the city attorney's office through my fee. So I feel that the Art Commission at this point should be more than happy to settle this. Let's put this information down on paper, and then we can go forward and address any further problems in the future. I mean, that's basically all I have to say.
Thanks. Okay, so let's open this up for public comment.
Robert Clark. I agree that for the Art Commission to show that the cooperation, this whole thing had centered about getting some more information about what the advice that is being given to the Art Commission by the city attorney about sunshine-related requests, that's costing the street artists so much money. So we wanted to be able to verify whether these were legitimate expenses that the city attorney was charging to the street arts program. And the whole crux of the matter is to get this description and advice and possible resolution of what the Art Commission decides to do in regards to the city attorney advice on a log, on the sheet like Mr. Lazar just presented. I mean, basically, we're asking them to put one little more section in there and that says what the city attorney advised us in regards to this specific information. And for them to hedge on this one final thing, to me, it's sort of like explodes the whole thing to, well, we're really not getting the information we're trying to get through the Art Commission and the city attorney's office because they're falling back on this attorney-client privilege, which they don't have. And for them to refuse to, at this point, just cooperate with us. All they have to do is when Mr. Lazar gets a phone call from the city attorney, then all he has to do is, after it's over, if there's no other record, he can write down, which I'm sure he does with every phone call he gets anyway. He should if he isn't, that I just spoke to so-and-so in regards to this, and this is the outcome of the phone call. Because otherwise, who knows what's going on. I mean, we have to have our officials keeping records of discussions between inter-department people like the city attorney. And to act like we're requesting them to create a new document when all we're saying is that, okay, you guys you seem to be willing to cooperate. You recognize that your other record keeping was pretty shoddy and that you're going to go forward in the future and keep accurate records. Well, one of the most important things that we want to know is what is the city attorney telling you in regards to public information requests. And that is our right to get that information. And for them to sit here and not be willing to okay, we'll include that also, a little something to give you an idea, I think just shows that they're really not cooperating at all.
Got it. Yeah. Any further public comment? No, just on item 2. Item 2. On this matter. Seeing none, let's close public comment. I don't really have the wooden thing. It's a stack of speaker cards. I like that. I think it's cool. Okay, so public comment is closed. Member David?
Yeah, I just want to say that I just want to say that I did not hear Mr. Lazar say that he is not willing to provide information if the document exists. What I heard Mr. Lazar ask, and I think that this is the question that's before us, is that if no document exists and it's a phone call with the city attorney, what is the procedure? I just want to be like that. That's my interpretation, or that's the way I understood what Mr. Lazar said. And I have to say that I think that is a very legitimate question as to what is that procedure. And so I don't know, Member Pilpel, you have some seniority here. Do you have any opinion on this?
I guess I would ask, as part of our package of asks to Mr. Lazar, is to think about that. Where there's time spent with the city attorney, where there's really a sunshine question, not just a budget or policy issue, but where there's clearly an outstanding matter where you've sought advice and perhaps advice was given, if there's a way to summarize that makes any sense in context and isn't, lengthy, if there's a way to capture that here or to make reference to a note elsewhere, that might take care of it. And it may be that there aren't that many instances of that. It may be that it's 94 a year, as we saw in 2010-11, but it may not be. And it may not be that all of those 94 billed items resulted in the kind of advice that is at issue here. I don't know exactly. It's impossible to know without being part of these conversations, and I don't want to be part of any of it. So you've got some things to think about. What's the old expression? You've got some homework to do. So if you could look at those things and come back to us with an email summarizing where we're at, and I would like to continue this matter and see where we are. I think that we are getting somewhere. I think this has been productive. I think you've been very cooperative, and I appreciate that. And I think we've been respectful on this matter. And I know it's taken time, and I know others want to end it, but I would really like to, kind of get a win for everyone here. So that's my sense, and you'll think about these things. So is there a motion to continue this?
I just want to be clear. Are you looking for a motion to continue this to the education and outreach, or are you looking for a motion to continue it?
To continue it here to our next meeting to get a report and try to wrap this up.
Okay, I will make that motion.
I'll second it.
Okay.
On the motion to continue item 12013 to the next meeting of the Education, Outreach, and Training Committee, on that motion, Member David.
Aye.
David, aye. Member Oka.
Aye.
Oka, aye. Member Highland.
Aye.
Highland, aye. Member Pilpil.
Aye.
Pilpil, aye. There is a vote of 4-0 to approve that motion.
Great. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Lazar, and thank you,
all of
Mr.
you.
Clark.
Thank you, Member.
And we'll see you next time, and look forward to getting material in between now and then. Okay, let's call items 3 and 4 together.
Item number 3, file number 13007, hearing on the determined violation of complaint by Charles Pitts against local homeless coordinating board for allegedly failing to provide an opportunity for the public to address the board at their January 7, 2013 meeting. Item number 4, file number 13022, hearing on the determined violation of complaint by Charles Pitts against local homeless coordinating board for allegedly walking out before public comment at their January 7, 2013 meeting.
Okay, so we've got Mr. Pitts and Ms. Owens, is that correct? So where we were on this, there was a complaint filed. We heard this at the full task force, and then it was sent here for further proceedings. It seemed, and I believe there was actually a third complaint that we did not find a violation on, but it appeared that there were some problems at that meeting of January 7th and perhaps some continuing issues with clarity at the local homeless coordinating board. So why don't we hear first from Mr. Pitts about where we are with this. We'll hear from Ms. Owens, and then we'll discuss where we go from this. And welcome back, Mr. Pitts.
While I try to plug up.
He was at the subject. I've seen that before.
Well, I think the problem that I'm having is part of it is just basic, just a lot of it just boils down to basic respect, and so they blocked me from public speaking, and I guess some of the questions I have is has that body addressed anything regarding the Sunshine Ordinance, about how to follow that or anything? But then two, on top of it, the meeting that they scheduled right now, if you look at their agenda, there's no room for public comment. And they scheduled that meeting today, right now. So it's like they created a violation, and now they're making it like embedded in what they're doing. So that's part of the problem. But then you stack on top of it the fact that they refuse to record their meetings, so you don't know if there is or isn't any public comment during this meeting.
Can you go to that second document that you had there? That looked interesting. Yeah.
No, that's something else.
Oh, okay.
That was the Sunshine, that was the SRO task force. But I'm also,
Okay.
But then the other thing too that I was looking up, I'm just kind of disappointed in that the August minutes haven't even been posted. So for me, what I'm really requesting is that this body have the chair and the staff be certified regarding our Sunshine Ordinance. I just wonder, where does that, do they know about the Sunshine Ordinance other than the filings that I've done? So it's really disappointing that I just feel very dehumanized by a body that's supposed to be speaking out and representing the most marginalized class. I'm not sure if there's much else to say, but I just hopefully that. And the other thing on top of it is where are the people that created this violation? The first thing is first they refuse to show up, and then second, they send like administrative person. So they create the violations and say that I'm lying and all of this stuff, and then they still don't even have the courage to come here and show up I mean, they stick her here.
Okay, we'll have some questions and discussion in a moment. Is there further testimony in support of the complainant on this matter? Or do you want to wait for public comment? Okay. Why don't we hear from Ms. Owens?
Thank you. My name is Megan Owens. My job title is Policy Analyst for the San Francisco Local Homeless Coordinating Board. I'd first like to apologize for this meeting agenda. I prepared this meeting agenda. It is the standing practice of the Local Homeless Coordinating Board to accept general public comment at the end of every meeting, in addition to public comment at the end of every agenda item. It was my clerical error that public comment doesn't appear on this. I will reissue the agenda, although the meeting will unfortunately have begun before I return to my desk. This is the first time this
over, but
yeah, this is the first time I've been notified of this error, so I apologize about that. In regards to the January 7th meeting, I was on staff and I have attended every local homeless coordinating board meeting since I was hired last May, except the January 7th meeting. Unfortunately, I was on sick leave and did have a pretty high fever. It wouldn't have been a good idea for me to be there. So I won't be able to speak specifically to the facts of the January 7th meeting, although I do understand that this body has previously found that there were violations at the January 7th meeting. I'll answer the questions in the packet. This is the first time I've seen the packet, and it looks as though there may be a continuation to the question item number 3, but there isn't another page. So if there are other questions, feel free to ask me now or ask me later. Question 1. What is this?
Let me just interrupt for a quick second. Did Ms. Christensen from HSA forward the email to you or not?
I have not yet. I have not received the email.
Okay,
no.
she just, or somebody just asked you.
Notified me via phone to attend today.
Got it. Okay. All right. We'll get you on the list for follow-up.
Thank you.
No problem.
So question number 1, what is the status of the complaint? Are there any other documents or changes in policies and practices or procedures sought by the complainant? The status of the complaint is that it has been forwarded specifically to the co-chairs, who are still the seated co-chairs of the LHCB, and to the general LHCB membership. The complaint has been the subject of advice from me to the co-chairs about the way that meetings should be conducted. And so that's the status of the complaint. The changes in policies and practices are the practice of the LHCB, and the practice that I've witnessed at the LHCB in every meeting that I have attended has been to call for general public comment at the end of every meeting. And sometimes public comment is given, other times public comment is not. Also, I'd like to apologize about the August meeting. I may be unaware of the proper way to post a meeting notification, but that meeting was actually canceled, so there are not minutes from the August meeting of the LHCB.
Okay.
The July minutes were approved in September. And then what other information should the committee know? At this time, I don't have any other information for the committee except that the public comment procedure, as I understand it, has been properly followed at all of the subsequent meetings.
Okay. Great. We'll have some questions and discussion in a second. I can't tell behind you. Is there anyone else to?
Oh, there's only the 3 of us in the room.
Okay. But you're doing a fine job, all 3 of you. Okay, so let's open this up to questions and discussions from the task force. I see Member David.
So, Ms. Owens, just in reference to today's meeting, I'm just curious because I want to make sure I understand something. When was the notice of that meeting posted?
The notice was posted last week, I believe on Thursday morning.
Okay, Mr. Pitts, were you, I just want to make sure I understood, were you claiming that it was just posted today? No, okay, I misunderstood.
Just that there wasn't public.
Just that there was, go ahead, come up to the microphone.
I guess I'm also having one more problem that hasn't been quite addressed yet. Is like the body walked out during public comment, and I would appreciate it if she was to speak regarding that as well.
Okay. I just wanted to make sure, I wanted to get that straightened out first. So it was given this this meeting today was given appropriate notice. The only thing incorrect about that, it does not have the
Specific prompt for public comment.
public comment. Fine, very good. Do you know Chair Pilpel, who is responsible for being trained in sunshine for each committee? Is it the chair? Is it?
Well, see, let me address that in my follow-up because there's not a simple answer to that.
Go ahead.
Okay. Did you have anything?
No.
further at this time?
That was really my main concern. I'm a little bit concerned that and this is no reflection on you, but that you were sent and you were not someone who was present at the meeting where some of these issues took place. Like, it's a little bit like, it would
But
be
she
helpful.
is the appropriate staff person. She's not Ms. Christensen, who's the main point person for HSA. Ms. Owens is actually the staff person for the LHCB. So we're getting to the right place here.
Yeah.
When it comes to knowledge of meetings since January 7th, I am definitely the person.
Right.
Just
But
to be
as
clear.
you said, you had a fever on the meeting specifically. So to add, you were only going to be able to give us information the way the information was passed on to you. You would not be able to give us a firsthand account. That's my only.
I was going to make reference to the
Go ahead,
fever
go.
and needing more cowbell, but never mind. Okay. You're done for the moment.
Yes.
Member Oka, any questions right this moment?
Not, I may have later.
Okay. So let me get to mine in a second. Member Highland? Okay. So here's what I have. Public comment, I think we're pretty clear, needs to be on the agenda of each meeting of the main body and any bodies that are created, subcommittees, working groups, whatever you call them. And there should be a note. We only saw the first page. I don't know how much detail there was about meeting procedures that should somehow indicate, especially for a body like this, public comment will be entertained or taken on each agenda item prior to or during discussion of that item. I think that should be clear. I'm sure Mr. Pitts would agree that's the right thing to do.
It's also the practice of the LHCB to have that standard clause. I believe it's the recommended language from you all on
Right.
every meeting agenda.
Okay, so let's try to do that. And I would encourage you to have just sort of boilerplate text for the full body and for subcommittees. So in the event that you're out or get promoted, who knows, that there is a template that exists. Okay, so that's public comment. Recording meetings. My understanding is that charter boards and commissions are required to be audio recorded. Other bodies are not. Given what's gone on with the LHCB, I would just recommend that you record the meetings. And Victor, can you just hold up? I don't know if you have a digital recorder. If not, you should see if HSA can acquire that for these kinds of meetings. It's probably just a good idea, okay? I don't want to get into the point of saying this body needs to be recorded, this doesn't, but in this case, because there's been controversy and there are questions that will come up, well, who said what, when, well, what did we know? If you can figure out how to do it, it's probably just a good idea. I'm not sure we're at the point of posting those recordings. There's some bodies that make audio recordings and post them. I think just recording the meetings would be a good start, and let's see where we go from there. If there's no other question that's raised and no one ever wants the tape or needs to listen to it, that's a fine problem to have. If people are like, oh, everyone should listen to this, there's great stuff, we can all learn from, one thing at a time. So I would ask you to explore recording.
Thank you.
And probably for the full body and committees. Once you start the thing, it's not that hard. You save it, you can transfer the thing to a thing, and it's become a lot easier than it used to. Okay, so that's recording. Draft minutes. Again, there is a format that's required in the ordinance for charter boards and commissions. There is no specific format for the minutes for other bodies. There is a requirement in the charter that actions taken be recorded. So if you approve whatever it is, the continuum of care plan or some amendment to the housing, whatever, you should probably make a record of that and what the vote was. If there's extensive discussion, you can either say there was a lot of discussion about it or highlight the key points, but somehow you would want the minutes, if you're keeping those kinds of minutes, to reflect what the discussion was. So if someone wasn't there, or even if they were there, they want to see that the minutes reasonably captured what happened, and if they weren't there, that they should be able to familiarize themselves. So I think that's all pretty clear, and I think you want to do that anyway. I can tell.
I agree.
And then finally, with regard to training, there is a good government guide. There is a city attorney 2-hour training, but that's really geared for members of boards and commissions, spends a lot of time on conflicts of interest and state law, things that really are more about contracts and the types of actions that boards and commissions take. My sense is that we don't right now have a good training tool for what I will call advisory bodies that either just give advice to other agencies or department heads or people in departments, or have a minimal reporting requirement where they have to review plans and programs of a department and comment once a year on the capital plan for whatever it is. So that's something that I've been thinking a lot about, is who should be trained. Is it, the staff, the chair, all the members, some of the above, some combination? And how do we spend time, whether it's in a room or on a video or online, to convey good information that they can use broadly and isn't going to waste their time with Form 700 stuff that doesn't really apply? So that's my longer answer of there isn't really a good tool now, and there really should be, because we don't create a whole lot of boards and commissions here except by charter relatively infrequently, but we create a lot of advisory bodies because, hey, I'm not sure if the color of that wall is good. But we don't want to offend people with the wrong color, so let's create an advisory body to consider the color of the wall, and we're going to have a lot of people, and it's going to reflect diverse interests, and then there needs to be minutes, and what if there isn't a quorum, and who notices it? So we need to figure out a way to develop that, and I don't want to single out the local homeless coordinating board as just being the body with the issue there. I think it's a broader problem in the city. So I don't have a solution to that right now, but I am thinking of ways, and ultimately this may require yet another letter that I have to write to the city attorney and the ethics commission, for example, asking for some thought and resources on how to develop that more targeted training. So
I would just say that I agree. We have a new member it's her first time being appointed to an advisory body, and she's been very clear that such a training, in addition to the 2-hour video, which she did watch thoroughly several times and didn't feel confident facilitating meetings afterwards.
Yeah, I mean, it tells you a lot of great information, but not a lot about what to do when you're on the skateboarding advisory task force. Mm-hmm. And we actually have had a skateboarding advisory. Yeah, never mind. Okay, so that's where we're at. Did you have any further comments back at this point?
No,
okay.
Thank you.
And just, I guess one other thing, I had intended to come visit the big board, and I have not done that yet. If we can find a way to do that, I'm happy to do that. You're still generally 11 o'clock on the first Monday, except when it's a holiday?
Yes, and we've had our one and only Monday holiday for the year, so first Monday of the month, 11 a.m.
Okay. So we should probably talk about that if there's a way that I could either observe or make some brief comments, figure out sort of the lay of the land. If that's helpful, I'm happy to do that. If there's a better way, I'm open to that too. But we we wanted to take this opportunity to recognize that there were some problems at that particular meeting, see what we can do going forward citywide, but also see what we can do on a targeted basis just for the board, understanding that it is homelessness is a difficult problem. The people involved can get very personal and emotional about it. There's a lot of issues of trust and respect, some of which we heard from Charles earlier, and others are just there. And, so some real sensitivity is needed here. I'm pretty clear about that. Charles, did you want to comment for a second as well? I want to be sure that I'm capturing your thoughts here.
That's part of it, but I'm still going back to did they send any emails or anything regarding the fourth item on the agenda about the board and the body walking out on before the public comment? I mean, did they send any documentation out? I mean, is it of importance to them? Or, I mean, the other part of it is Laura Guzman. She's really like a bully. She's a bully. If I just feel like we should be working together to come up with solutions and ideas and policies to help and solve homelessness. But I mean, she's really more like a bully. I mean, you gotta say this here, say that there. There's really not a lot of you can't, it's not, she's being very strict and rigid about it. So it's like there's not a casual, we got the rules here, but we ain't gotta follow everything to the T. And then it's like there's been times where she'll just straight cut stuff off of the agenda, don't table it, no nothing, just cut it off the agenda and just move on. So it's like she doesn't have any respect for the homeless. She just is using that body so that her program can get funding. Maybe she can submit the emails to this body and submit those emails to me regarding the walking out, and that they should be following the, giving people public comment and just following the laws of the state of California.
Well, let's not leave that. Do you have something to add on that particular point? Have you learned anything about that meeting and what happened? Why don't we use the mic?
Thank you. The facts about that meeting are very much in dispute, and I don't have any additional information at this time.
Okay.
I'd like to add. Please wait for public comment.
Yeah. Just hold on 1 second, and I'll get to public comment.
It's part of the commission. It's part of the
Okay.
local homeless.
It'll just be a second. It'll just be a second, and I'll get to you.
Okay.
I promise. Okay, so how about now? Is now a good time for public comment? How about that?
Can I get one more statement?
We'll come back to you after public comment. Let's give the other gentleman a chance.
I don't mind sharing.
Take the mic. Tell us who you are.
Okay, great. I think at some point the three of us will be here at the same time speaking to the commission about the commission on homelessness. And my name is John Borojare. I'm an immigrant. I've sat at the Immigrants' Rights Commissions a number of times, and I've seen the process of becoming homelessness as one of almost the migrant story. I haven't ever voted here in the United States, but I wanted to take an opportunity to welcome Charles to make his comments to the board and your response as well. When after I read out some names to you, and I hope you'll be familiar with them, beginning with George Washington, John Adams, Thomas Jefferson, James Madison, James Monroe, John Q. Adams, Andrew Jackson, Martin Van Buren, William Henry Harrison, John Tyler, James Polk, Zachariah Taylor, Millard Fillmore, Franklin Pierce, James Buchanan, Abraham Lincoln, Andrew Johnson, Ulysses S. Grant, Rutherford Hayes, James A. Garfield, Chester Arthur, Grover Cleveland, Benjamin Harrison, William McKinley, Theodore Roosevelt, William Howard Taft, Woodrow Wilson, Warren Harding, Calvin Coolidge, Herbert Hoover, Franklin D. Roosevelt, Harry S. Truman, Dwight Eisenhower, John F. Kennedy, Lyndon B. Johnson, Richard Nixon, Gerald Ford, James Carter, Ronald Reagan. And just one last question. Am I your brother's keeper? Charles Smith, please.
Thank you. If you could give us your last name, that would help us for the minutes.
NJOROGE.
NJAR.
NJOROGE.
Great. And it's John.
John, yes.
Thank you very much. Charles.
I just want to go back to the whole thing is I mean, that room has everything it needs to record. So all she has to do is talk to somebody from tech, and however they record it. If they record it, I think they use a big SD type card or something, or a hard drive. So all she has to do is plug in the hard drive, hit record, and then send it to some tech guy to transfer it. If you look at, I've been told that Bernice Casey does it for the Shelter Monitoring Committee. So
and you're saying if Bernice Casey can do it, anybody can?
I don't know. I don't want to put her like that, but
I think we've asked the staff to look into recording, and I suspect that they will look into it.
Okay, but I just feel like they don't even have to buy a tape recorder. There
are a lot of problems that we can't solve. I think recording the meetings is one that we're going to solve. So let me just ask you to follow up. Would it be better if I attend one of these meetings, or if we just ask the staff to look at these things? Tell me what you prefer.
For me, it's just more that, like Laura Guzman be certified or prove that she has some type of certification. And if she triggers a violation, that she show up. So she shouldn't ignore the violation. She shouldn't send somebody else that wasn't even there. If you create a mess, you clean it up. If you create a problem, you fix it. That's fair to me. And it's on many levels, it's still not right, because the other lady wasn't here. The other lady wasn't in the meeting. She wasn't in the meeting. The person who created the problem, it's really like they get off. Chances are she don't care. She don't care. She's I don't know, she might be somewhere drinking beer or something. I just feel like just lost faith in her as a person.
Clear on that. Okay, so let's go back to Ms. Owens to see what we've agreed on for today. So tell me where you think we're at.
I will follow up with the Human Services Agency staff regarding recording in the room. I am happy to have you present at an LHCB meeting to advise or to observe. I'm happy to take feedback from folks present here today about which one of those would be most valuable. And I'm happy to take other actions recommended by the committee, but those are the two that I'm hearing. Additionally, for my own mental health, if nothing else, I will reissue the Coordinated Assessment Working Group agenda for today, including public comment.
Well,
Is that helpful? Actually,
actually, I think not. I think for future meetings, you should definitely do that. I think it's more confusing to issue a new agenda for a meeting
meeting
that's
that's
already happening
on its
or
way.
happened, which, so.
I would agree.
Yeah, I'm just curious, though, what might be helpful is to publicly acknowledge that there was a mistake on the agenda.
That's cool.
Don't change it, but just make it very clear on the website that, oops,
this agenda should have included.
yes.
Great. Happy to
don't-
do so.
Yeah, I think that would probably be the most helpful.
Happy
That's
to
cool.
do so.
Okay. And I'm just thinking back of a few years ago, more than a few years ago now, either the HIV Prevention Planning Committee or the I think it was that committee, which had a very large group. I don't know, they've got 30 or 40 members, was very contentious. Guess who showed up? There was a particular member of the public that was somewhat difficult to deal with, and there were some issues. I'm just recalling that they had to, slow things down and really put in some better procedures to remind people of when you're dealing with a contentious issue, what the purpose of the group is, that there will be a variety of different viewpoints, that members of the public, may or may not be on topic, may have serious concerns about, et cetera, that it really becomes more about how we deal with each other and really reinforcing that importance of respect. And it's not always easy, it's not always fun, but it becomes sometimes necessary and helpful, actually, because then, you may start out at future meetings saying, okay, everyone sort of knows this, but let's just remember, we're here to talk about homelessness, and our specific charge is laid out in admin code section whatever, or health code whatever. We reflect the continuum of care plan, which is available on the website. Our staff person is so-and-so. If you have a question, bathrooms are down the hall. We're going to be here for a couple of hours. Let's respect whatever. If you set a tone for the thing, and your co-chairs can do that, you can do that as staff. You can really take what's otherwise very difficult and make it more productive. And it may seem stupid, but it may also seem like, hey, we're now at the point where that's become necessary, and it's actually good for us. So there's these kinds of things to think about.
Thank you.
And
Bruce.
on Mr. Pitts' issue about the behavior of one of the commissioners, I think when behavior is exhibited by a member of the commission, that should be handled by the chairperson or by the members of the commission itself. And other than that, there are training sessions on how to be, what qualities are expected in members of boards and commissions. So I think that should be made available to whoever needs that.
Thank you.
There is that, but again, this is an advisory body, so those
Yes.
expectations
Right.
are a lot less clear, and
Right.
the appointment power, I think this is appointed by the Board of Soups exclusively?
Board of Soups mayor and controller.
Okay, so it's diverse appointments, it's different expertise,
Yep.
yeah, this one isn't especially easy.
It's not black and white.
Right. We're also not hiring anyone's nephew here. All right, Member David.
I would like to thank Mr. Pitts and Ms. Owens for their time, and I would like to make a motion to conclude this matter.
We actually don't need a motion if we're going to take no action.
Okay.
Mr. Pitts, are we good with just going forward from here, and if something further comes up, we can hold a hearing or you can file a further complaint, but we're going to try to take some actions to resolve this. What I'm hearing is that there's not necessarily a sense to continue this, but to just move on with it.
Well, I think what I would like is that I would like some type of documentations, that emails that were sent regarding this issue. I mean, I can send them out myself. Hopefully, she'll respond. But I mean, did they deal with the employees? I mean, did they deal with the people walking out? Did they deal with the chair? The chair telling me that public comment was irrelevant. I mean, are they going to? I mean, did they? I mean, can I get a copy of that? I mean, that's my thing is before you close it, I would like to see some of those emails. And I would like to see this body see those emails if they did even address the issue. So, I mean, so you got the chair saying this. It's not like a member, Laura Guzman, she's like the chair. And then just as of recently, there's a second person who just has like stepped up being like the vice chair or the assistant chair. And, you know, you're saying several things, but then too, the local homeless coordinating board's lost its way. They're not coming up with anything new or inventive to help homelessness. They're really fixated on the money, and anything other than that is just pure tokenism. So, I mean, if you know, like you're saying, if you say we're here for homelessness, such and such and such, they come there. I mean, they're going to say something that's going to be different from what the bylaws say.
Okay.
But I mean, your points are very well taken. I mean, it just feels like it's a big octopus, and right now it's just, is this body going to respect us? And right now, to me, it's no, because Laura Guzman hasn't come here and addressed why she would tell us that our voice is irrelevant.
Okay. So let me just say, if you have concerns about the body and its effectiveness and its membership, generally, those are concerns you should take to the Board of Supervisors, the mayor and the controller as the people who appoint it, or the board if it needs to change its requirements, whatever. We're strictly dealing with how the meetings are conducted, not so much the outcome. So I will ask Ms. Owens if you can send a follow-up email to the task force and a copy to Mr. Pitts on the points that he raised and how those have been addressed, that public comment will happen, that members will be asked not to walk out, et cetera, et cetera. If you have any information about what happened or not, just that there's some response. That the task force already found violations, so it's not like we're going to rehash that, just sort of what happens going forward. I will coordinate with Ms. Owens about attending and seeing where we can go with that, and we will see in the future about better training or some meaningful training for advisory bodies such as this. So I think that's our resolution, and it sounds like there is not an interest in continuing the matter. So once you've all been heard, then we will probably take no further action, and the matter will be concluded. Did you have something? Did you have something very brief?
I just wanted to suggest that.
Can you use the mic and can be very brief on this?
There's sometimes when you're considering homelessness and not being homeless, i.e. inside a home, living in a home, or enjoying the ability to go into a church or a place of religious worship, or even a ground of that's common to others so that you can worship together. That at times like that, it's good to have a voice that can deliver a punch, can deliver the right prayer, and can deliver a message of hope to everybody. I don't know whether, David, you would feel comfortable closing this in a different way, just so that we can close the issue on homelessness in San Francisco this week with a message of prayer, the Lord's Prayer.
Well, we don't typically do that here, so I don't want to start with that. Some of us just celebrated a new year, so we've got all kinds of fun and interesting and different traditions here. If we can come back, and I certainly respect your thought. Let's see where we are. Member Oka, did you have anything further on this, or are you good
No,
with
I have,
just concluding it?
I think I'm comfortable with where we're going with this.
Okay. Member Highland? Member Highland, you've said way too much at today's meeting, and you're never mind.
It's already too much.
Yes. Oh. There you go. All right. So thank you very much.
Okay.
And I will coordinate with Ms. Owens. If you have a card, that'd be great. And thank you. And Charles, if something further comes up, you know where to find us. We know that, and hopefully things will get better. If to the extent that there were problems at this particular meeting, it sounds like it's all because of Ms. Owens' fever, and that's been taken care of. And hopefully that steps have been taken and will be taken so that such violations will not recur.
I hope so. But then the other thing too is I still have like maybe 3 or 4 other complaints with a different organization on the docket too. So, but
We'll get to those in the fullness of time, but at least on this, things are going to get better. Okay, so there being no further public comment, and I don't know if I closed public comment. There you go. So no action taken, and the matter is concluded, and that's for both files. That item being taken care of, let's go to item 5 in case there's that.
Item number 5, public comment. Members of the public may address the committee on matters that are within the committee's jurisdiction but not on today's agenda.
Is there any general public comment not on any of these 3 cases?
just something basic. I have a few other complaints that I've filed, and I'm just hopefully that we can, just let me know when you have a guess as to when that'll appear. I think I have like 3 or 4 other complaints.
Has Ms. Osbury not been in touch with you about the timing of the complaints, or because we at our last, or at least 2 of our general meetings, or our general task force meetings, we were given a spreadsheet as to how many complaints there were, and it seemed like we were making pretty good progress. So I'm just wondering if you have seen that spreadsheet, or if anyone's been in touch with you as for an estimate as to when you might be heard.
I'd have to double check my emails,
Okay.
But I think the complaint I filed was in like May or something.
We're still behind in catching up. Ms. Osbury should be back tomorrow. If not, you can coordinate with Mr. Young, and he's very happy. Look at him, he's so happy. He'll tell you where we are in the process, and we certainly will hear those items on the merits in the fullness of time.
Okay. All right, thanks.
Thank you.
Okay. Let me also say on scheduling, although I've been trying to be on our regular schedule, but it just never seems to work. For October and November, the second Monday of October, I believe, is Columbus Day. Do we still treat that as a city holiday? Do we know?
People Day.
We're not sure. Okay. If it is, then we'll have to look at a different date. November, I do know, falls on Veterans Day, so that'll look for a different date. So just stay tuned, be available. We will still try for Mondays at 3. That seems to work. And I'm sorry that we just haven't been on a regular schedule,
Yeah.
but we're trying to meet.
One thing I'd like to do is to, all these meetings that have been scheduled have been characterized as special meetings. I'd like to get us on a regular monthly meeting schedule, if we can do that. It shouldn't be that hard to do.
it would seem like it, but again, we went to the second Monday, and for for October and November, that presents some
Yes,
scheduling problems. So I'm doing my level best, and there's still a lot of things that happen behind the scenes. So I just wanted people to know about that. I'm frankly more concerned with the workload and getting people to
Yes, yes.
get things to happen rather than just having a meeting for the sake of having a meeting.
Yeah.
Trying not to do that. Okay. Is there anything further today? Seeing none.
Close
we
public
are-
comment.
Oh, yes. Public comment is closed. The meeting is adjourned at 4:43. Thank you all very much.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you.